Oh man, Rashad Richey has a juicy story for you. As you probably know, Rashad Richey is the host of the indisputable show on the Young Turks YouTube channel. And this story involves drunk driving. And let me tell you that Rashad has no tolerance for driving while impaired. Nothing makes him madder than a person who gets behind the wheel of a 2-ton death machine while soaked to the gills. You gotta understand, Rashad is the founder and president of the national group Race Baiters Against Drunk Drivers. He's a quantum theorizing, Alzheimer curing Carrie Nation. And he's going to put his foot down and demand we take this menace to society seriously. Sure, you may hate Rashad now, but wait until you play this video. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With cold, blunt analysis cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dread to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's time for the Johnny Walker Dread Show.
The LAPD Los Angeles Police Department sergeant was arrested in Orange County over the weekend after authorities say he hit and killed a pedestrian while driving intoxicated and fled the scene. Tustin police identified the driver as Carlos Coronel, who was booked into the jail Saturday night. However, LAPD has decided not to release his photo. So we got something for that. Coronel was taken into custody after he reported for work at Newton Division. He went to work.
Just as an FYI, the cop was arrested, okay? Just remember that. Also remember that the cop fled the scene after the crash. Rashad's histrionics over that will become important later.
Hours after the incident happened, according to multiple LAPD sources who requested anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the ongoing investigation.
He showed up for work and they arrested him. Sounds pretty reasonable so far. This is the arrest of a cop. You don't want loose cannons flapping their gums while an investigation is underway. Makes sense.
Tustin Police Sergeant Ryan Newton said officers were called about 3:57 a.m. Saturday to report a person down in the street in the area of Nissan Road and Del Amo Avenue. When they arrived, they found a man suffering from injuries from being struck by a vehicle. He was pronounced dead at the scene. Newton said the investigation led the police to suspect that Officer Coronel had been drinking, and they arrested him later that day without elaborating further. He said the department expects to release additional details about the incident on Tuesday. We're waiting for those details. LAPD Chief Jim McDonald did, in fact, send a statement to the LA Times that said, quote, "Let me be clear. The actions alleged in this case are absolutely unacceptable. Sergeant Coronel's alleged involvement in a felony hit and run is not only disturbing, but it betrays the trust of the public and the oath we take as law enforcement officers." Keep his picture up. Chief, release his damn photo. That should have been the first thing you did. If you believe the public should have a right to know what happened to a pedestrian by way of one of your cops.
How does releasing the photo tell us what happened? Well, it comes from his deep prayers that the cop turns out to be white. Who in here thinks I'm wrong? With the first name of Carlos, I have my doubts. But why would it matter? But to Rashad, it does. It's everything.
This is far from the only drunk incident by an LAPD officer. However, it's the second time in less than 2 months that an LAPD officer has been arrested for a drunk driving fatality. Following a Christmas Eve incident in Ontario in which a bicyclist was killed. Before I go on to the remaining, I want to remind everyone that these individuals who have been caught, they've been caught. Why do they feel so comfortable driving to such an intoxicated level that death is happening to citizens?
Why are they so comfortable driving as drunk as a skunk? Well, you should know. Have you forgotten? Let's all go back a few years. Now remember, Rashad is irate that a person would get behind the wheel of a car and endanger the public, and he doesn't understand how someone could be so indifferent to the lives of others on the road. It's a hot summer evening in Atlanta, and Rashad is a little bit drunk. And by a little bit, I mean he's extremely drunk. He can barely stand up. His friends urge him,
"No, Rashad, you're too drunk to drive. You'll kill someone."
but Rashad, he ain't no wuss.
I'm driving!
He staggers to his car. Sure, driving in this state of mind is dangerous as hell, but public be damned. He fires up his car and tears into the street. But oh no, some poor bastard gets in the way and smash! Rashad's Lexus rips into the other poor soul's car that is less prestigious than a Lexus. But wait, it gets better.
There's more!
Right behind Rashad's victim is a police car. On come the red and blues. On comes the siren. But wait, it gets even better.
There's more!
Now Rashad is pretty smashed, and most of us would be like,
"Gee, I'm already in a bit of trouble here. I'd better pull over, affirm my right to be silent, and call my lawyer."
well, you don't know Rashad. You see, he has 3 Juris Doctorates.
You serious?
He's not going to fall for that call my lawyer crap. His brilliant legal mind weighs his options. He knows what to do. He rolls down the window and yells,
"Eat my dust, copper!"
and tears down the street with the cop in hot pursuit. But wait, it gets better.
There's more!
Rashad decides to pull over a mile down the road. Why? Who knows? Perhaps he's just too drunk to drive any further. He clambers out of his damaged car.
But wait! There's more!
That's actually not his. I'm not joking. He tore the hell out of someone else's car. But wait, it gets even better.
There's more!
He's so drunk, he passes out while standing up. He smacks his head against the curb, and he's arrested. Now, you might think that this story is just in my imagination. Well, go watch my video on Rashad's DUI, and you'll see that I'm not making this up. Unlike Rashad, I bring the receipts in the form of actual police reports. So tell us more, Rashad, about the dangers of driving while impaired, and how evil it is to flee the scene of an accident. As for the cop getting special treatment, hang on for just a second.
Well, typically it's because the culture will protect them. That's typically why.
Speaking of a culture that protects you, wait until your fans pour into the comment section of this video to support your actions on that night in Atlanta, or completely dismiss them as unimportant. A thing of the past. I will be castigated for even mentioning your previous arrest.
"He was a young man at the time."
They'll rave. We don't know how old Carlos Colonel is, but I'll bet that he's about the same age as Rashad was then. Oh, what other culture protected you? How about the Georgia Democratic Party? Yes, you see, Rashad was a strategist for them at the time. In fact, he was driving the party chair's car. Did you see the Georgia Democratic Party going to the news and explaining how dismayed they were at your wanton disregard for human life? No. There is a reason that the vast majority of you out there don't even know about this incident. If it wasn't for my previous video on his DUI, none of you would know about it, because the Georgia Democratic Party protects its own.
Who's going to pull them over? Their friend will. All right. Charges are pending against rookie LAPD cop Aaron Clybacker, if you could put it up. We have Ontario police said they arrested Clybacker after his vehicle struck and killed a 38-year-old, Fabio Cabreros of Chino. Police said the officer initially fled the scene.
Oh my God, he fled the scene. Damn, that's horrible.
For returning and then cooperating with the investigator. He was booked into the West Valley Detention Center on suspicion of vehicular manslaughter and then released on Christmas Day, according to an online jail roster.
He can't pronounce Rancho Cucamonga.
So last April, an off-duty lieutenant who was posted anti-drunk driving messages, he posted these, was charged with felony DUI in connection with a crash on 605 freeway that injured at least one other person.
Yeah, this off-duty lieutenant was posting anti-drunk driving messages online. Oh my God, the hypocrisy in that. Is that like going on and publishing a video railing against the evils of drunk driving after having done it yourself?
Drunk driving and the department's supposedly lenient handling of them has received scrutiny by the police commission. The civilian oversight body voted to tighten the department's alcohol policy, lowering the acceptable blood alcohol level for an off-duty officer, armed officer, to 0.04% in some situations.
0.04% is absurdly low.
Let's be very clear.
Whenever Rashad says that, he is either going to say something really stupid or lie through his teeth. Usually both.
You don't have an issue with the rule. The rule is fine. The issue is with enforcement of the rule. So instead of actually addressing the enforcement issue, they give you a ridiculous new rule as if that changed anything. They're not following the right now rule. What makes you think they're going to follow the new rule?
Something really stupid. Rashad, cops can't stop people from driving drunk. There isn't a statute on the books that isn't violated. It's like asking why are cops allowing banks to be robbed? And did you forget that they actually arrested the cop as soon as he showed up for work? This was within hours of the incident. And do cops pull over other cops for DUIs? Do they arrest the cop? All the time. There have been tons of videos showing cops arresting other cops for DUI. There's even one where the cops arrested their own chief. And yeah, back in the days before body cams, cops got away with a lot more. I remember my dad slipping fifths of whiskey into the back of highway patrol cars so that they would call him for the next tow. My dad owned a towing company in Las Vegas at the time.
If they followed the right now rule, this would not happen. Simply enforce the law as it relates to the culture of the law, rather than the culture of your police department.
I mean, they arrested the cops. What else do you want them to do? I realize you probably fantasize about what they can do, especially to the white ones. Okay, only to the white ones. But we don't allow vigilantism in this country. The last time I looked, it was up to the judge to impose punishment.
Under the current rules, first-time offenders can sign a so-called contract with the department, which spares them any serious punishment as long as they agree to abstain from buying or drinking alcohol for several years. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, although I'm a little suspicious of your source. Why would an official rule say for several years? Does that sound like the language used in an official code? What Rashad is describing is the police department's policy toward the first time that one of its officers gets a DUI. But that's not necessarily all that's going to happen to the cop. The court will also have its own punishment. So if you're a cop and you get a DUI, the court will probably fine you a few $1,000s and maybe even add on probation. And of course, your lawyer will break you financially. But then your department will also ban you from drinking for a few years. I don't see that as particularly light punishment.
Cop gets caught, DUI, could have killed somebody. Just sign this agreement and just tell us you'll never drink like 5 years. We're going to say 5 years. Again, you won't buy any alcohol.
Notice that Richey just blurts out 5 years in his example. Only 5 years. I mean, 5 years is all? According to Richey, not buying alcohol for 5 years is like that's next to nothing. Gee, Using 5 years as an example of a light punishment might come back to haunt him.
So you're going to bar the cop from doing what is legal to do, which is to purchase alcohol, in order to let him get away what was illegal to do.
Yeah, that's how most punishments work. Normally, you don't ban somebody from doing something illegal as punishment for doing something illegal. Mr. Juris Doctorate.
Which is drive drunk. Sounds about like America. All right, Sharon, thoughts here.
One set of rules for us and another for them. And when a cop is in trouble, they're both the offender and the victim, apparently. That's all that matters.
By us, are you referring to Rashad and you? Because if you are, then you may want to know about Rashad's previous DUI, where he didn't give a damn about the safety of others. And what was the punishment for Rashad's DUI? According to PhD investigator who looked it up in the Fulton County records, which I disclosed in a previous video, he only had to serve probation. How many years of probation? Do you want to guess? I'll give you a couple of seconds to guess the number of years that Rashad had to serve on probation. Give up? 5. I mean, that's nothing, right? No jail time. He spent the evening drowning himself in Jim Beam, plowed into another car, then fled the scene with the cops chasing him. And he didn't serve any jail time. And he has the fucking nerve to cry that cops are getting away with DUI. This is hypocrisy at its highest. And all you Rashad fans, go ahead and deny it. Tell us how it's okay for Rashad to rail against drunk driving and fleeing the scene of an accident, all the while being guilty of it himself. And the cop never eluded police. Rashad did. Once the emergency lights came on, Rashad took off faster than Ben Crump chasing an ambulance. And don't hand me that tired...
Well, Rashad has come clean about his past. He's admitted that when he was younger, he was a little bit of a cut-up.
No, he hasn't admitted any such thing. All he will admit to is his previous drug dealing, because he thinks it gives him street cred. You show me where he has ever admitted to the drunk driving, fleeing the scene of an incident, and eluding police. Oh, and his domestic abuse, where he beat up his girlfriend. Show me where he's admitted to that. As long as they allow this maniac a platform, the Young Turks has no credibility. I actually kind of like Shank and Anna. Even when they were firebrand conservative-hating progressives, I can see myself having beers with them. But Rashad? No way. Because I don't want to be responsible for what he will do after he leaves the bar. And in my next video, I'm going to disclose about Rashad renting out a house from someone and never paying his rent, and then trashing the place to the point where it cost her $30,000 just to fix it. So stay tuned for that one. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.